Good evening, Knicks Nation. Welcome to our next edition of Sky Hoops Knicks Dreams. To join the conversation, you're welcome to drop your comments in the chat, and in a few minutes, I'll drop the link if you want to be a panelist. With that being said, we're gonna welcome the Dream from California to New York. What's up, brother? Talk to me.
How you running down the court, getting crazy? The Knicks, our boys getting crazy. They're driving us nuts. They're starting out games good. They're not finishing well. A whole bunch of transitional play that we expected with new players and a new squad getting used to each other. It's okay. Just take a deep breath. You know what I mean? I see everybody's trying to overanalyze everything that's gone on so far as our play, but ultimately, new guys got to get used to each other. Styles of plays clash a little bit. They'll mend it. They'll get it all together, and we'll get going in the right direction. We're still going in the right direction. I think we just wanted a little bit more at this team early on. But that being said, I'll just do a simple bounce pass. So it's my man standing on the side from 3-point line. Go ahead.
All right. Well, I know you keeping it positive, but I got to keep it real too now. You know, the numbers don't lie. The stats don't lie. And I know you're a numbers guy. The fact that the Knicks are ranked, 25th in defense, in team defense at this point of the season. I know it's early, but if we just look back to last year at this time, we're top 3 in defense or top 5 in defensive, efficiency. And this year, we've had a tremendous drop-off. I think to a certain extent, you're absolutely right. You always are going to have a transition period when you have new players in there. But you also have to look at, their strength in terms of the players that they got, in terms of Walker, in terms of Fournier, it's about offense. Their defense is suspect at best. And the guys that, obviously moved on, which were defensive players first and then offense second, I think you see the impact of them not being on the squad. You know what I'm saying? So at this point, what has to happen, other than the chemistry factor, is they got to put a premium on defense, at least with the squad that they have, until they can get a defensive player in here to try to complement what you have on offense, because it's going to catch up with us. It already started early. So it's only a matter of time. We don't make certain adjustments, whether it's a trade, free agent, or whatever, or a call-up from the G League. We got to get some defensive player here because we don't have a guy that we could say right now. I know we got a couple of rookies, but to put that on a rookie right now, I think would be unfair. We don't have a guy that we could say we need a lockdown defender to take their best player out the game. We don't have that right now. With that being said, I'm going to leave some meat on the bone. I'm going to do a nice little bounce pass. No, actually, I'm going to do a Mark Jackson dribble, and then I'm going to go like back in the day. I'm going to go behind my back, and I'm passing it to my man, Bill Stradamus Esquire. Come on, brother, talk to us.
And I'm going to catch it, and I'm going to just lay. And I won't talk trash either, I agree with what you said. We need defense. And I'm going to put this out there. Would you guys be adverse to somehow trying to get Ben Simmons over here?
I wouldn't.
I would love for that dude. I would love for him to be on this team.
At what expense? I guess I would ask that. Who am I giving up for to bring him here?
I give him, I hate to say it, I'll give him our starting backcourt.
Okay.
I'll give both of them up for Ben Simmons if they would take that.
They may be interested. And then what, they want one of the rookies or something like that tossed in too, because they value him super high. Super high.
Well,
like
we might have to, I throw in one of the rookies, but I would prefer to keep Grimes, and if I had to, I'll give up McBride.
Yeah.
If that's what they want, if that can get Ben Simmons here, I'd pull that trade off in a heartbeat, man. How about you? You feel that way? Would you?
I'm okay. I'm okay with Simmons overall as a player. I mean, he dominates on the defensive end, for his size and the position that he's guarding. Plus, he can do multiple things. I guess I would want to use him in the role that probably the Warriors would want to use him, though. That's why I asked, what would you want to give up for him? Do I want to bring him here to solely be my point guard? I don't know. I want him to be a playmaker of the offense, maybe take some of that responsibility off Randall somehow, because the problem is that he's exactly what the Knicks represent right now. You can see the talent. It's there. It shows up sometimes, but in the worst moments, the bad mistakes is what kills you. And that's what the taste he leaves in my mouth. I'm not even saying about last year in the playoffs. That was, a one-off to me because I hadn't seen him defer around the basket the way I did in some of those later games against, Atlanta and stuff like that. The games that they were being critical about where he had basically a chance to tie the game or even put them up one with a little layup and he tried to pass it to somebody else under the basket, things of that nature. And then the missed free throws.
He didn't shoot or something.
He didn't want to shoot, or he's already suspect from the 3-point line, but then he became all of a sudden suspect from free throw line and being aggressive. Like, as the point guard and a person who's initiating the offense, you have to have a certain amount of aggressiveness to drive and initiate the offense and do that kind of thing. Right now, we don't play that kind of basketball. Just switched away from that because it probably would have fit us a little better last year with the drive and the kick. But right now, we're just setting up to shoot a bunch of threes, and he doesn't do that.
Yeah.
So unless we're going to switch our offense again, again, I like the player. I love what he brings on defense. I just don't know how he fits to our team without reconstructing the entire thing. And that's what we've been against basically for almost a year now, right? Blowing up the whole thing and starting over. We're trying to just tweak what we have. We had a really good defense last year. We tried to tweak it a little, and I think we over tweaked and you overcompensate, and then it's like you start lacking in both areas. So that's where I sit with him as far as that goes. You know what I mean? So I'll leave my 2 cents there.
How about you, Coach?
Listen, I like the idea of bringing in a guy like that who has defense. Of course, it's a matter of obviously what you're going to give back in return. I would like to keep Grimes because I think he's a great shooter, in the making. And so to give up on him so early, I wouldn't want to do that because I think there's a place for him on this team in the future. But again, we got to see. There's room for negotiation with Philadelphia if that were to happen. We know that he can handle the rock. We know he can distribute the rock. We know he can play defense. Unfortunately, he's suspect in terms of his perimeter shooting and his free throw shooting. So it's a question of, how do we build him up? How do we get him to the point that, okay, we don't want him to be shooting threes. We don't need him to be shooting threes.
Right.
But we can work on his mid-range shot. We could work on his going to the basket, and he's strong going to the basket.
Yeah, he is. He's excellent going to the basket.
Yeah. You know what I mean? And of course, the free throw is going to be what it is. But I would take a chance on a cat like that because he's still young. He can develop. He already has a skill set that you could build from. It's not like he's lacking on both sides of the ball. No. On the defensive side, there's no questions. On the offensive side is where he needs some development, but he's still young. So I think there's time. But, I'll go back to you, Mr. Bill, so that you could set it up for H2O so he knows what we're talking about.
All right, H2O, welcome aboard, bro. What I did was piggyback off of Coach's sentiment with regard to us getting back on defense, starting off with the defense. And I suggested going out, see if we can get Ben Simmons over here. And they asked, who would I give up? I said, I give up our current backcourt. Then Dream said that they may want one of our youngsters. And I said, and then I throw in McBride. Would you be willing to do that to bring Ben Simmons here? And I'm passing it to you all at the same time.
All right. Well, thank you. And Salute to everyone. I respectfully disagree. I would not. What are you saying? We're going to give up our present backcourt, meaning both Fournier and Walker for Ben Simmons.
Yeah.
But what you giving? I mean, on a good day or on. I don't want to say on their best, but when they are regular, when they were in, wow, how can I put it? They're worth 25 points between the two of them, and this cat is like is not there. So what am I getting for that? You think you're getting good defense? He's going to disrupt the entire offense now. Because what happens is this: we still have Randall wanting to bring the ball up.
Well, he can take turns. They can take turns.
Concern for me, it's not that backcourt is bad. It's that this guy is sitting in the backcourt taking the ball from the guard at the logo to do a weave at the logo, and we got no down low presses. Bam. Now let's talk about. You want to talk about Mitchell Robinson? Yeah, let's talk about Mitchell Robinson. Now let's get something down there. Let's get
Mitchell Robinson
presence.
What was the question
about giving up the backcourt for this guy? Wow. I'm not going to give up the backcourt. I'm switching.
Nobody said Mitchell Robinson.
Well, I'm saying that if you want to switch anything at all, I wouldn't mess with the backcourt. I would worry about we don't have enough front court presence. You understand what I'm saying? I disagree with dealing with the backcourt. You know what I would do with the backcourt? I would change the starting lineup. Either one of those two guys has to sit. I can't have them both. They're both liabilities on defense. So, like you said, Grimes, I'll bring him in. McBride, I'll bring him in. I want a defensive player. I need a defensive player at the guard position. Because if you're not going to give me any points and you're not going to give me any defense, what?
Simmons will get you some points.
Not enough points to win games.
And I don't know what his averages are. I don't. Huh?
He's 20-something. He's in the 20s.
And he'll get you assists. That's getting you.
And exactly, he's going to get you. He can get you 8 to 10 assists a game.
And
he just he hurts at the free throw line at the end of the game.
Right.
Like you can't take out your $100 million point guard at the end of the game because you can't shoot free throws. Now we are actually the Knicks. Now that I'm saying that, it's ringing in my brain that we actually do have guys off the bench in the last minute you could throw in there just for the free, if you want to play the free throw game back and forth. Guys like Burks and Quickly and stuff like that, and Rose that can hit free throws and stuff like that. So I guess that. Man, it's tough. It's tough. That's a tough question. That's a really good question to put out there.
Yeah, it's a tough question. But that's how I see it. I don't think that I really want to, continue to tweak every 20 games. Think about the backcourt. The backcourt was a problem last year. I mean, right? The guards was our problem last year. So we brought in two guys.
It was offensively they were our problem.
What's his name? Peyton. For Peyton, that was supposed to make up for both his scoring and between the two of them, maybe some defense. But but again, we need something down low, man. That's what our problem is. We don't score. We don't have nobody. When we got big guys like Indiana got, then they're gonna kill us down there. Because we're not playing defense and we ain't got no offense down low. Everything is 3 and running back the other way.
True.
So no deal. No deal.
You got two guys on the winning side.
There you go. Did you call a 20-second timeout or something?
Yeah,
either give up the rock or shoot or give up the rock.
No, he was holding it like like
Yeah.
Randall. Because he always got to throw Randall in there somehow.
Today.
You always got to throw Randall in there. You know how it is.
No,
He
I
don't say
didn't
nothing
even
about
mention
Barry,
it, right?
but
So who brought him up?
He's gonna rip Randall.
I'm just saying, though. I'm just saying.
I
Who
know
brought him up?
I know what you're saying. I know. I'm just pointing out what you're saying, brother.
You got it shorter. That's all I'm saying. You got it shorter.
I take pride, brother. I take pride. I ain't gonna run. I ain't gonna run and hide, brother. Ain't no running and hiding up in here.
To get his
Not
head
at
down
all.
under the rim.
Listen.
I don't need him at the 3-point line.
Listen, man. You know, again, I'm all about the defense. And this team has to put a premium on defense. It is alarming, even though, yes, there's transition of players here and there, but, you know, this is an early indicator. It needs to be taken serious because it's not that easy to move up the ranks, especially if the trend continues. And the narrative is offense. We need to shoot more threes. That's what they're saying. Right. I'm not saying that. That's what they're saying.
More threes.
That's what Tibbs is saying.
Yeah,
You want to see them shooting more threes.
Yeah, that style of play is saying give me more.
You know, that's a recipe for disaster.
What happened to defense?
That's what I'm talking about. That's what I'm talking about.
That's why I proposed that trade. Yeah, we would be much better. We would be significantly better defensively. With
coach,
Ben Simmons,
the coach has to emphasize defense with the players that he has.
Well,
I'm sure he's doing it.
He's not doing that.
They're not doing it.
He could work around it with just a rotational lineup change, like not switching out players, just the timing of how you rotate them into the game. Like Kemba's gonna come out of the box running and gunning. That's fine. Let him. He can do the first quarter, and towards the end of the first quarter, you bring in the next guy to come in, and then that's it. But the problem is, you think he's gonna rekindle that in the fourth quarter with the last 5 minutes, and that's not happening. Okay, because now the other team already figured out what they want to do to attack you, and now he's coming in, like we said, bringing in McBride off the bench. He's going to be cold, and it's hard to play defense like that. It's the same thing with a guy with weak knees that's old. He can't do it. He just can't do it. And if his offense, you could try to stick him back in there, but if he misses the first 2 J's, I would just pull him right back out and put the energy back in. And that's what happened in the last game. Is that the energy died off. Like as soon as he made that switch late in the fourth quarter with 5 minutes, we was tied or up 2 points. The energy that came out with the second unit and came back in with the first unit was dead. It was just completely dead. They hit a couple threes, and the whole team just shoulders just dropped, and nobody came out with the energy again. And that's part of the working out the kinks of the new players. And Tibbs has to go through that too. And he started to do it. He's showing you he's going to go with that 3-point guard, but he's using Burks more than anybody I noticed in the last couple of games. And he's coming along too. But, one guy gives you a little bit, the other guy drops. We'll figure that out, though. I have confidence in the guys.
I will give.
Pass the rock, Dream.
It wasn't my pass. I just
No, go ahead.
All right, so I'm doing my Texas crossover. I dish it right back down low. Go ahead, ESQ.
Well, I passed it over to him. It's actually supposed to go to Coach.
No. Go ahead.
Right.
ESQ. Yeah, because you just put the question out there, but you could elaborate. You didn't really elaborate much.
Well, it was all for the defensive. That was my whole reason for proposing that little deal there. It was for defensive purposes, and I don't think we would lose as much on offense because, like I always say, if we can play defense, and like Henry had stated all last season, if we're close enough with 4 minutes to go, we're in good shape. And the defense is the only way that we're going to be in those games like that. If we come out there the way we've been coming out there, just launching threes from the outset, we're gonna have the season that we're having now. We're basically a 500 season. We're gonna be playing 500 ball because when the ball is not dropping, that's it. It's over. The game is over because we don't have that same defensive intensity, focus, and that needs to be number 1, 2, and 3 on our agenda. And Tibbs, according to Tibbs, he doesn't feel that way any longer. So we have to do something. And now we got the Pacers. Oh, you want the Rock? You want the Rock? Okay, are you standing over in the corner like your son used to?
Now we gotta go there.
See, you ain't got that jersey on.
H2O. Here you go, H2O. Chest pass right to you.
Listen.
Oh, okay.
I agree. It's a coaching issue too. Okay, he had the unit to win that game. They had everything they needed. Rose had enough gas left in the tank to take us through the end of that game. Okay, and the guys on the floor were running with those guys and playing defense on those guys.
Oh, especially Obi. Obi, in the words of Clyde, he was flying and denying. And then, after the windmill, he took him out. After the windmill, that was I don't get that.
What for? He brings in Randall Cole. He brings in Kemba Cole.
Don't forget Barrett.
And Barrett.
Don't forget Barrett. He forgot Barrett. He forgot Barrett conveniently.
Okay, conveniently.
Try to take the jersey off and leave him out of this conversation.
Barrett has given me nothing all day long either anyway. So he
all day
the point is that it's a coaching issue. He's a little bit mixed up, talking one thing and wanting another. So he thinks that he's going to bring those other guys in, that they're going to be fresh. They might be fresh, but they're mostly cold. Those other guys, they have already broken up a nice sweat. They just started sweating. They were ready to run with those guys and run them out of the gym. But no, Coach Tibbs has better ideas. And again, he's doing that. And that's one of the reasons why you don't see Grimes. He played up in the first 2 games and he did not embarrass. He did not embarrass himself. He did not embarrass anybody. He played a little D, but mostly he got that shot in. Okay? Yep. He has not given McBride a minute when it counts. Okay? And I say give Kemba the first 5 minutes of every game. That's it. The first 5, you know that at the 5-point mark, you're coming out, Papi. Okay? And then I'm gonna put in a defensive player to play out the last of the quarter. Because we get down 30-15. At least let's keep it 20-15. Because it's their guards that break us down. Okay? So, I say that, I can't do nothing but sit back here and vent like a fan about what they should do. And it's not going to reach nobody's ear down there at the 33rd Street and 8th Avenue. Okay. But I hope that this guy is doing something, because I also heard the conversation that, there was going to be some changes. So in one of these post games with Alan Hahn and those guys, or was it Frazier was saying that they're doing the thing? There need to be some changes. There need to be some changes. And I don't care. Yep. I don't care how much you get paid, because like I was saying before, you don't play for the name on your back. You play for the name on the front. I don't care how much you're getting paid. It's a what have you done for me lately league. and if we base that on what you've done for me lately, then you need to be sitting down, especially in the end of the third and all of the fourth. Okay? That's how we're going to win games. They're going to go with the threes because they're the offensive mind in the beginning. They're fresh. They're hot. Everything is going in. Boom, boom, boom. But then when the other team starts playing, we got to start playing defense, and then we don't know how to do that. We get beat. We're getting beat every time. As soon as the other team warms up, and they start figuring out, how to just, make 3 passes, and they have an open guy, and they're making their threes, and we start missing our threes. Why? Because like Dream said, our shoulders. Ah, man, bam! He banged another 3 on me. Instead of like, let's play some defense then. So anyway, I'm hopeful that things have to change, because I think we mentioned this before the last time we were here, right? Right, Esquire.
Yeah, we did.
That doing the same thing and expecting different results is insanity.
Insanity.
And that's what they are.
That's the
right
definition
now,
of
they're insane. Yeah, my man Steve from MSG text me, and are you going to the game tonight? I said, nah, not tonight. That's not in the plan. I said, oh, because I wanted to come by and say hello. And I said, yo, man, they need to do something. He says, oh, they're going to be all right. And I said, nah, man, they need to do changes here, change there. Said, hey, man, maybe they need you. I said, they don't need me. They need a shrink.
I won't put him on a shrink's couch yet. Not yet.
Behind the back.
So here's the thing. Tibbs has been in a funk since the playoffs. It's carried over into this season, preseason and the regular season. Hasn't made adjustments. And if anything, his philosophy has changed. Last year he was preaching defense, and it was solid up until the playoffs. Now this year, he's got these guys wanting to shoot more threes, and that opens it up. That opens up the game, and it speeds up the game. And again, they don't have the horses to play that style of game throughout an entire game. They don't have that. So unfortunately, until he figured that part out, and he's a veteran coach. But I think there's been a pattern, and I got to go back and look at this. But whether it was in Chicago, whether it was in Minnesota, when he first came out there, they were winning games. He brought his brand of basketball, his philosophy of basketball, and then as the years progressed, it kind of faded. And I don't know. I'm hoping that it didn't start earlier this time around.
Oh boy.
Okay, I'm hoping that that's not the case. But I'm just saying, this is a pattern. This is a pattern that's taking place right now, and we need to correct that from the coach's perspective, in terms of philosophy, adjustments, and from the players in terms of what's expected of them. What got them to where they got to last season was their defense. Mm-hmm. And on top of that, other teams weren't expecting them to be as good as they were. This year, everybody expects them to be as good as they were, but they're not doing their part. And that's why a combination of those two things, they're not sneaking up on anybody anymore, which was the case last year. And number two, they're not playing to the same level that they were playing last season. So those two things are impacting their productivity on a consistent basis. Right now, they're consistently inconsistent. Mm-hmm. That's the best categorization that I can give them. And with that being said, I'm going to drop it off to G Money so he could give us his take, and then, we go back to Dream.
Salute. And I'm going to splash it from way downtown. Salute Santana, Dream, Bill, H2O. We just need consistency, like you said, Santana. We got to share the ball, clog the paint, swarm the perimeter. And we just need the execution. What helped us last year is that we got better with our execution later in the season compared to the first part of the season. Right now, I'm not seeing the same consistent execution that we saw when we were 5-1. And some of our losses have been really unacceptable and disrespectful. Toronto, Orlando, Charlotte, I'm 50-50, and we could have won that game. Who else did we lose to? Yeah, Toronto, Orlando, Cleveland. Some of the losses, Charlotte, the Hornets, Charlotte. Some of the losses have been unacceptable, and we got to fix this, man. Tonight is another game against Indiana. We lost them we lost to them at Indy, so we're at the Big Apple. Can we please snap this 3-game home slide? We haven't won a home game since we beat Philadelphia, weeks ago on TNT? You want to hear this, guys? And this is a funny stat. We have not won a home game on MSG. Think about that. The first home win we had was on ESPN. And the second home we had was on TNT. We're on MSG. We haven't won a home game at MSG. I'm talking about the channel. That doesn't make sense, man. It's crazy. We have to, feed off the crowd. We have to watch out for Miles Turner tonight. Watch out for Michael Brogdon, clog the paint. And watch out for Sabonis. Because Sabonis, we contained him last game in Indiana. We got to watch out for him in this game. I think he may have a better game tonight. So we just got to watch for those things. And we just got to execute, rebound, defend, share the rock, dive for loose balls, and just play knickerbocker basketball. Because what I'm seeing right now is a lack of consistency with this team. And if you look at the Eastern Conference, again, I know it's early. I understand it's only 13 games, but the Eastern Conference got better. Look at it. We're tied for number 7. We're only a half game for number 9 and 1 game from number 10. We gotta be careful, man. We gotta take care of these home wins. This is a crucial 3-game homestand. We got Indiana, Orlando, another team we should get revenge on, and Houston, who are absolute trash. So it's like we gotta find a way to stop playing down to our opponents. And with that, I'm gonna pass the ball to my man H2O.
It's Dreams.
I think it's Dream.
It's Dream.
Dream, you want the ball?
Yeah.
Okay.
I'll take it. That was a fake pass. I saw it. Boom.
Fake
Little
pass.
Iverson behind the back. I see you.
Behind the back, alley-oop to my man Dream.
Oh, yeah, and I'm going to catch it, and I'm going to spread my legs a little, Jay. Boom. Knock it back in from the back. So our biggest issue in last year and this year is very similar issues, just from a little bit of tweak that teams are coming in against us. Last year, we had a problem running guys off the three-point line, and it took us almost the entire year to figure it out. But once we did, in addition with our defense, but we couldn't get the offense rolling. This year, teams figured the same thing, exactly the same thing out. We can't run guys off the three-point line, except it's not the guards this time. It's the forwards and the centers that are killing us. And teams have made that tweak, and we haven't adjusted back to it. So every time you get Bridges popping away from three-point line, I'll keep it with the Indiana game. So we had Miles Turner come out, first 8 points. Bang, bang, shooting a 3 because why? Mitchell Robinson's not going out to the three-point line. Then after that, you come right back behind him with who was the guy that came off the bench, Batazzi or whatever it was, and then they had another forward that was also popping threes. Randall's not making it out to the three-point line to guard that three-point shooting attack that's coming from the other teams. And if they have the three-point shooter at the center, Mitchell Robinson is not going out to the three-point line. So teams have figured that out against us. And we have to make that adjustment first to get some of the game back in our favor. Man, I mean, we all know night after night we watch this team is not the same on defense. That's fine. We just need to play better in smaller pockets. I was watching one of the shows. I wasn't able to make it on, but I watched it back, and I think, Santana, you issued a nice small challenge. Can we just get back to defending at 25 points a quarter? Keep it simple. 25 and under a quarter. Start there. That's your initial challenge. If you can do that, then you'll get back to the type of team that we saw last year. But without that, you're going to have these lopsided. Sometimes we're up 38, 20, whatever, and then all of a sudden the other team comes right back. And if it's the other way around, we're fighting the entire game to try to make up that one quarter that we messed up on defense. We got to figure that out. But, that being said, I'll toss it back down. Go ahead, H2O. I think it's your spot.
Yeah, I just wanted to piggyback on something that G Money said. And you're 100% correct. Like we are a game away from being 10th to being in the play-in. Let's call it what it is, to being in the play-in. But we're also only 2 games away from being in 3rd place too, or 4th.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? So right now we're at a critical point where if we go 3, we lose these 3 at home, and then we got the Lakers and the Warriors and the Nuggets and the Bulls
And the Suns.
and then the
Don't go
Suns.
too far.
We
You got
these three.
you got Murderers Row coming. Don't go too far. You got 10 games in a row. That's gonna be real bad.
After this three,
Because the
it's
stretch
gonna
is right
be
into next month. I'm telling you.
it's gonna be right.
Mhm.
It's gonna be tough, and that's why we need to bring back the defense,
Mhm.
because that's the only way we can compete with those teams. Is playing defense. We cannot outscore them.
Right.
We haven't proven that we can outscore anybody. We couldn't even outscore the Hornets, folks. So let's get real. They have won 1 game, I think 2 games or 3 games so far, and we basically allowed ourselves to be in a game with them. And not that they don't have great players, or good players, but so do we, and we're not playing up to our own level. Never, like Santana likes to say, we play down to the competition. If we could just play the same game, everybody's saying the same thing. This is inconsistency. If we could just play our own game, which is, Randall, you got 20 points and 15 rebounds and 5 assists, give me that. Barry, you got 15 points and 5 assists, give me that. Walker, you got 15 points. Fournier, you got 15 points. Hey, what's all I need?
Right.
Take it away, Santana.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and the other concerning thing is you getting guys that are not, bona fide scorers coming in and smacking us down. Rubio was an example of that. I didn't see an adjustment made to take him out of his game. First and foremost, when you got a guy that's hot, you got to play passing lines and deny him the ball before he gets it. He's great handling the ball. Don't let him get the ball. That's defense. You know what I mean? When you got a guy that's that hot, that's the first line of defense that you deploy against a guy like that. The second line of defense is, foul him every now and then. Don't let him get his shot off. Now, granted, Rubio's not known to be a scorer, especially for 3-point range. He's never been that. He's been a pass-first point guard. And his strength is going to the basket, not necessarily shooting threes. So I'm sure they got caught off guard. However, and I say that, that's the operative word. However, when a guy gets hot, that's when you really gotta zone in on him on defense. Trap him, get the ball out of his hand, force somebody else to make the decision. I mean, this is basic basketball. You know what I'm saying? This is basic. When I'm looking at it again, I'm looking at it from a coach's perspective. Yeah, I'm a fan, but having coached in the past, and not saying that I've coached at this level, but nonetheless, junior high school and high school kids, I wouldn't let one guy beat us. You had to beat us with your team, and you couldn't beat us with your best players. You had to beat us with your 3rd, 4th, 5th option, especially if I knew your game. I would study the other part. I knew what my guys had to do. I didn't have to study my guys. I practiced and prepared my guys for each game, and I would say to them, okay, you're going to play defense first. Don't worry if you miss a shot, if it's in the flow of the offense. But do worry if you miss a defensive assignment, because then Captain Hook will pull you with the quickness. That's what I wanted them to be concerned about. But I'd be damned if you had any player beat us by himself. Nah, it wasn't happening. It wasn't happening. And that's part of the adjustments that I don't see Tibbs making on this team. I don't see it as a coach. Mm-hmm. And that's concerning. The second thing, in terms of adjustments that I think H2O alluded to, and I read in the paper, was that in their practice, in their most recent practice, he had indicated that he was going to start off the game by calling plays because he was letting the guys just freelance and let them do whatever the defense allows them to do. But that's where you had the propensity of guys coming up and just shooting threes. So hopefully we'll see them running plays. You need discipline. You need discipline. Get good shots so you don't have quick runouts and then people start blowing you out. That's what happened with Cleveland.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I'm saying? So these are the little nuggets, and I'm not going to take up any more space. I'm going to bring it back down to Bill Stradamus so he could kick it off. Go ahead, brother.
Okay, another theory of mine, and let's see if you guys think there's anything to it. Might Tibbs be so confident or overconfident as his reputation for a defensive coach that he feels that now they can just come out there, launch threes, and my defensive philosophy is so good that I can get them to be a good defensive team playing team defense. Do you think that might be a part of his thinking? Because it's like you said earlier, Coach, the philosophy has changed. Last year was defense, 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 and now he's basically saying, I want to shoot more threes, and we got to cut down the turnovers. He's saying the right things with regard to that, but the focus is no longer defense. Might it be because of his overconfident in his defensive schemes and attack? Could that be something?
Go ahead.
Anybody?
Pass the rock.
Anybody? Okay, so who am I passing it to? I'm passing it to H2O.
No, I think it's G Money or Dream.
Yeah, I can go for the ball.
Go ahead.
Okay, I'll take it.
And I'm gonna throw it down like Vince Carter. Half amazing. Yeah, the problem with Thibs, man, his coaching philosophy sometimes can be a little bit questionable. Sometimes the certain things he does, I just don't understand. Okay, why would you keep taking out Obi Toppin, who is playing well? Again, I know Julius Randle's our best player, and there's times in which you have to go to Randle, but that Hornets game, you see that Randle is struggling. His jumper's not falling. He's just not in it. Why not keep Obi to finish the game? Because he was throwing it down. He was giving us energy. I'm not saying he's a star. He's not. But Obi Toppin is improved, and he hustles. Why not just keep like you did against the Bucks? Even though we lost, what I liked about Fifth, he kept the bench. It's just that we just ran out of gas. The Hornets game, you could have kept the bench for that game because we were having momentum. And you took Obi out, which ruined the rotation. Randle came in and missed 3 free throws to end the game. Randle's a good player. He's our best player. But sometimes you have to do certain things. Sometimes, to me, you got to make the proper adjustments, and it has to make sense. Don't just do things for the sake of doing things. You got to do things that make sense. Make the proper adjustment for us to be successful. And also, And people say this all the time, he kind of trusts people way too much sometimes. You got to know when to pull the plug when you see someone that's struggling. That's what I believe. And another thing, too, before I dish the rock, we got to utilize more of the mid-range game. We got to use more of the mid-range game. Kemba, Fournier, Randall, even RJ, take it mid-range sometimes. We got to use Burks can hit mid-range rolls. We need to utilize more of the mid-range game. We can't just jack up all these 3 balls and think it's going in. Yeah, there'll be games in which we'll hit them, but in the games that you're not, don't you think attacking the basket and hitting mid-range shots will be the smart way to score the ball? And also our defense, like we all agree. There's late closeouts, too many backdoor layups, too many give and goes. And to me, we need to do a better job being more physical. Last year's team was physical. when you go into the paint, will be rough. Now it's like it's a layup line at times, or it's a 3-point context. It's like if we want to make the playoffs and go deep, we gotta be more fundamentally sound on both sides of the ball for us to be better if we want to go far. Because like I said a million times, yes, we're 2 games back of the 3 seed, which I agree with you, H2O, we are. But like I said, we're also a game back from dropping to 10. So and like I said, and every game matters because we don't know we're going to be in the standings though. So if we want to, change our season and go back to the right direction, it also has to start with Julius Randle. You're a leader. You have to lead. Last year, you're a leader. RJ Barrett, I need consistency like you were to start the season. The bench has been fine. The bench has been great. The starting lineup has to set the tone so the bench can finish. So with that, I'm going to do a bounce pass to my man, Dream.
Nice. And I'll come up and come one side, straight to the other side, lay it up right hands. So I'm starting to wonder, piggybacking off of Bill's question, basically I'm starting to wonder, is Tibbs giving management what they want? They wanted to come into the season shooting 43s a game or somewhere in that range. They went out and got offensive players and took away 2 of his prime defenders. Is he just sitting back, not pushing his style, but just saying, if you want to shoot the threes, let's see where that takes us, just to give them a taste of their own medicine, management-wise, you know what I'm saying? And then when that doesn't work out, he can then kick in his mode of, let's go back to our defense running this, you know what I'm saying, and working inside out, then outside in. Bringing back to what you were just talking about, the mid-range game would help that. Yes, so I do think the 2 tie together, but it's just my thinking that maybe because they took away 2 of his on-ball defenders, not just 1. They took away Bullock and Payton, and everybody criticized Payton last year for his offense, but this goes to show you, man, he was solid on the defensive end, for most nights. Sometimes, he laps like everybody else over a full game, but definitely in the first half, I know he had his troubles offensively, but defensively, he wasn't letting guys beat him up coming straight down the lane, unless they were like Kyrie Irving status or, those level players, we'll give those guys their credit. But outside of that, right now, they took away 2 guys that were instrumental on the defense and left them with guys who just left like their old lane, the offensive guards right into the lane and allowing all the other stuff. People have to make adjustments. So is everybody just kind of attitude-wise saying, you get what you asked for? That's my question. Or that's my statement, I guess, coming back to what was asked about Tibbs' coaching style. I don't think he's fully changing. I think he's just trying to adjust with this offensive team they gave him. He didn't have this offensive team last year, so everybody was like, well, we can't shoot, so we better play some defense. Now everybody feels like they can shoot. Plus, they're giving them the green light on top of that, like I said in the beginning, it's early in the season. We still need to let this play itself out a little bit. And, we always have the trade deadline down the road. We can start thinking about players we can add if we need to get back to being a stronger team in the second half than the first half. That being said, I bounce past it. I send this overhand pass to H2O. Go ahead.
Yo, your mic, H2O.
You muted, man.
Okay. So I agree with you 99.9% of what you just said. The only thing that I disagree with is that they didn't take away Payton. He dropped Payton.
Yes, I was going to say that. Tibbs did that in the playoffs.
Tibbs just messed with his game completely at the end of the season. So as much of a good as a defender as he was, Tibbs still cut his head off.
And it cost him.
Because he didn't have the offense. Because the offense became more of a hindrance than his,
right.
Having been out there.
But to his philosophy last year, at least, he was a defensive player first, a defensive coach first. So I thought that he loved the defensive side. He has to. Sometimes it's a trade-off. See, right now, like you just said, we got all of these offense and gave up all this defense. Last year we had all this defense, but had no offense. We had enough offense to outscore our defensive rating. That's all we needed. All we needed was to defend 105 and get 106. Now we got to get 120 in order to beat anybody, because they're all scoring 120 on us.
That's the thing, yeah.
You know, if you average it out, or at least whatever it is, they're scoring more than we are. So our defense is not what it was. And you know, I understand Bullock was a trade, but Peyton was Dibs doing. And maybe you're right. They're asking, they're all got together and say, you know, we need to be more of an offensive team. And he's like, yeah. and they all agree on being this offensive team. The problem is that you brought in offensive players that have not gotten used to playing with each other and sharing the rock. Because everybody got to get their 15, 20 shots. You know, and we all got to set it up for you. This is your time now. Okay, we're going to call it for you. You got to go to the hole. This is what you do. You got to take your three. This is what you do. But everybody taking threes doesn't help. Threes means long rebounds and runouts. You know who had one of the most rebounds in the Hornet game? Ball.
Oh yeah.
That guard was got the most rebounds. So you know that got to be long rebound. He's not standing under the basket trying to grab rebound. He's defending his men and getting the rebound. Why? Long rebounds from 3-pointers. Take it away, Santana.
Yeah, listen. I mean, the defense speaks. I mean, I think you made a great point, Dream, in terms of maybe Tibbs is placating to management, and if that is the case, you know, that's a little concerning, because you hope that everybody's on the same page, considering that the formula that they had last year worked. Yeah, we were griping and complaining that it was too slow and that they were, you know, grinding it out and stuff like that, but it was winning. Now, yeah, you get more excitement, you get a little bit more run and the shooting the threes, but we're losing. And that's a big factor. I'm hopeful that if that is the case, based on your theory, Hakeem, that they are all on the same page, because his strength, Tibbs' strength has always been defense. He's never been an offensive coach. And he doesn't have an assistant at this point that I know of or that I can see that can take on the responsibility of an offensive coach or offensive coordinator, a la Larry Bird when he was in Indiana as a coach, and he had Rick Carlisle as his offensive coach, and he had Dick Carter as his defensive coach. That was the approach.
Remember, we had Woody too.
Yes.
We had Woody. So, and after we lost Woody, we felt it. We saw it right away once Woody was gone. So.
Yeah, no, keep rocking, Bill.
Yeah, Woody was the offensive, I guess, genius, his defensive genius, and that's why it worked with less offense than we have this season. But I really didn't think about what Dream phrase, and I hope that that's the case. I hope that Tibbs is, you know, trying to give management what they want. And at the same time, he needs to be talking to them and letting them know, listen, I know these players and I know what we need to do to be effective. We're going to sell tickets either way. So whether our games are boring and we're winning or exciting and we're sometimes winning, that's not what's going to make us successful. We have to go 10 toes down on the defense, like we did last year, and the offense will come. It'll come from somewhere, especially now that we have these excess shooters on the team. Now, you made a good point, Henry, and I was going to state that also with regard to Peyton. It was Tibbs who kind of messed him up, because I remember in the last year in the playoffs, I think the first game, he only played the guy like something like 8 minutes or something like that. Then I think he played maybe the second game. Then he had a bunch of DNPs. So, And then what he did, he went with Bullock trying to guard Trae Young, and he got killed. He got scorched. And Tibbs was too stubborn to throw maybe some doubles at him, maybe throw, be a little rough with Trae, and it didn't work. It didn't work. He was severely outcoached, and we lost the series. And so now the thinking was we lost the series because of the offense, and that's not necessarily the reason why we lost that series. We lost that series because we did not make the necessary defensive adjustments, that's Tibbs. That's in his playground to be able to do whatever's necessary to slow down the scorer on the opposing team. Like Coach said earlier, how he did it with his team, although not on the same level, but he refused to let one person just beat them. And I know how, coaching those young ages, you have those teams where one guy is just, like the best player in the league, and oftentimes other teams are so afraid of him that they lose the game before they even play it. But I know, and I remember how Coach used to coach, Santana used to coach, and you're going to do whatever you need to do to take the ball out of their best player's hands and put it in someone else's hands. And that's why we were complaining also, because remember, he didn't give Frank any run. I think he gave Frank something like 1 minute at the end of a half, and then that was it.
Yep.
So it was Tibbs being outcoached, basically doing what he does best. He was outcoached on the defensive end, more so than the offensive end. Yeah. Because, okay, Julius wasn't getting off, but that I had blamed on Tibbs as well. That was Julius's first time in the playoffs. And so, therefore, you have to draw up some plays, do something. They did nothing different. You had Julius bringing up the ball, playing ISO, and taking shots. But then some bad shots. Now, he'll hit them on occasion, but he takes bad shots, pretty often. And he did that a lot in the playoffs, and I never blamed him because, what was he? 25 years old, first time in the playoffs. However, he was the, bounce back player of the year, whatever, and he was, did he make an All-NBA team? I think he made an All-NBA second team, didn't he?
Right. So with that said, we're gonna do a lightning round because the game is gonna start momentarily. So we need to give our score. So give your score, Bill. Go around the horn, and then we close it up.
Okay, we got these paces. Paces give us a problem. So I'm gonna say we're gonna get them 108, 104.
Go ahead, Dream.
We gotta shut down the 9 threes they hit on us from the center and power forward position. If we can do that, I think we can swing this game back in our favor. I'm really, really hoping that they pull this game out 112, 108. But I'm worried about those threes from the center and power forward spot. That being said, toss it down to G Money. Go ahead.
All right. I think it'll be another close game, like I agree. I'm just in New York, 114 to 110. And another bold prediction, Mike Breen will give us a bank call. And with that, I'm going to do a alley-oop to my man, H2O.
Man, listen, I'm struggling with this, man. Okay? Because I want to be a cheerleader, and I want to be a fan, but I also want to be realistic, man. Today could be a Chris Duarte night, It's going to be one of those guys, either Chris Duarte or Malcolm Brogdon is going to put it on us because we don't defend. And unless I see something different, I think it's going to be 108, 104 Pacers.
Okay.
I'm gonna give Tibbs the benefit of the doubt. I'm gonna go against my instincts. And I'm going to give him the benefit of the doubt with the expectation that he is going to light a fire under these Knicks to play great defense. Because, down the road, as H2O mentioned, there's going to get tougher these games. And you got to start now to tighten up your defense because it's going to be harder against those better teams. And I'm not saying that Indiana is that bad. I don't think Indiana is as bad as their record. I think they're a better team, but they've been playing better. Okay? And so with that being said, I'm going to give the Knicks, I'm going to say 110-105. All right, fellas? And with that being said, we're going to close out this show as we always do. Once a Knick,
Always
the Knick.
all right, fellas, we'll pick it up in the chat.
Salute.
Salute, salute, salute.